When we have experienced something a number of times, our unconscious mind takes this in as a learning. It then becomes a truth as far as we are concerned and limits our lives unless we can change it. I was once told this story as an illustration of how easy it is to become conditioned and totally believe that conditioning. There was a big fish tank in which minnows and pike swam. Naturally, the mike used to eat the minnows. However, one day a glass screen was put in between the pike and the minnows. Over time, the pike learned that every time it went to eat a minnow, it hit the glass and got a sore nose. So the pike believed a minnow meant only sore nose. When the glass screen was removed, the pike starved in a tank full of minnows. We can be lonely in a world full of love if we believe we are unlovable. And just as the pike thought it was protecting itself by leaving the minnows alone, so our unconscious mind takes in information and tries to protect us. Most of the time, it does an amazing good job of discriminating between the appropriate. Unlike that pike, we make constant new helpful learnings. However, it may take a few weeks or months to change a learning. A friend of mine, Robert, told me how he was driving through a nearby town. When he turned right, his car was involved in an accident. His head was cut open and he was taken to hospital for stitches. Pretty soon he was back behind the wheel, and the next time he signaled to turn right, he was surprised to find he had a stabbing pain at the point of his head injury. The stabbing pain stopped as soon as he had accomplished the turn. His unconscious mind was, of course, reminding him that it was dangerous to turn right. These reminders continued for 6 months. By then, his unconscious mind had relearned that it was safe to turn right, and the stabbing pain stopped. Sometimes, however, our unconscious mind holds onto warning signals in a seemingly unhelpful way. A girl of 15 called Rosemary was brought to me by her mother because she fainted when she passed tall buildings. Her auntie lived in a tall block of flats and the girl couldn't even visit her. Fainting or becoming unconscious is, of course, the ultimate in self-protection. Rosemary came from a stable family. She was pleasant, outgoing, and there appeared to be no other phobias or difficulties. Her mother couldn't think of anything that had happened during the child's life which could account for the fainting. Rosemary went deeply into hypnosis on her first visit, and her unconscious mind revealed that when she was 10 months old, she was learning to stand. She was with her father and grandfather and standing between them. They weren't looking after her, and she had slipped and fallen on the curb into the road. Because she was so tiny, this was terrifying. Everything seemed huge, and her unconscious mind had retained an imprint that tall buildings were dangerous. By causing her to faint, her unconscious mind believed it was protecting her from terrible danger each time she passed one of these tall buildings. I hope that now the source of her problem had been brought to conscious awareness, Rosemary's unconscious mind would let go of the necessity to protect her. But it said no, she must have her confidence build up. I worked with her for 2 sessions, building confidence into her unconscious mind in hypnosis and reprogramming it with appropriate information. Then she found she could easily pass tall buildings and visit her aunt. Many people have full-blown panic attacks or mild panicky feelings for seemingly no reason. They can't understand why. It is always worth looking for the source of the problem. Panic feelings, the heart thumping, palms sweating, flushing, wanting to go to the loo, diarrhea, and even sudden menstruation, are all ways of the body preparing itself to flee from danger. I once had a relationship with a man I thought I was going to marry. We had a few days holiday together and everything seemed fine. I said goodbye to him on the Sunday evening and looked forward to his next phone call. On the Tuesday, he telephoned me and said the relationship was over. It was a profound shock. Years passed. I had no relationships that engaged my heart until I met my second husband. When we first met, I used to see him at weekends and he used to phone me during the week. As our relationship became closer, I found my heart was racing and I felt slightly sick and sweaty whenever the phone rang on Monday or Tuesday. I couldn't understand why I was having these panic feelings. It wasn't until I sat quietly to tune into what was going on for me that I realized what was happening. As a result of my previous experience, my unconscious mind had taken on board the belief that when you love someone, he may phone and end the relationship suddenly. This was clearly dangerous, so my unconscious primed me to flee from danger. As soon as he phoned during the week, My unconscious recorded that the danger was over and the panic stopped. The moment I brought the reason for the panic to conscious awareness, they stopped. Very often, just understanding our process helps to heal us. If we suppress our feelings at the time of a problem, then the imprint of the suppressed emotion is held in the cells of the body. The memory lies dormant until it is triggered. This may be lifetimes later. We saw with Robert that the memory was triggered as soon as he left hospital and started to turn right in his car. With Beth, the imprint of deeply suppressed emotion lay dormant for much longer. She was living with her fiancé, but was terrified of committing herself to marrying him. She made many awarenesses during her first 2 sessions, and I was really surprised when she didn't turn up for her 3rd session. The next day, she phoned to say that she had been violently ill in bed with a stomach bug and hadn't been able to get out of bed for 4 days. I asked her to think what might have caused such a violent stomach upset. She said she would give it some thought. She bounded in for her next appointment saying, "I know what the sickness was. I had a bit of a row with my fiancé and he said he didn't trust me. I immediately felt sick and started being sick that night." She added that she was very rarely sick. It seemed as if the words, "I don't trust you," was a trigger. Using the trigger words, "I don't trust you," I asked her to feel how that felt in her body and then go back to her first memory of that feeling. She recalled her first experience of this, not being trusted feeling in this life, when her mother had blamed her for something she hadn't done. We worked to satisfy the hurt feelings she had had as that child, and then I took her back to the first time she recorded that same feeling in her memory banks. She went straight back to the 9th century when she had betrayed her husband, the same man who was now her fiancé, and her cells were still imprinted with a memory of the dire consequences. So, many lifetimes later, when her fiancé said, "I don't trust you," the cells of her stomach remembered and reacted in a violent physical way. No wonder Beth had found it so difficult to commit to marriage. At an unconscious level, she was constantly replaying the memory of how dangerous marriage to this man had been. By bringing the old memories to consciousness and working on them, she was able to release the fear, and finally she did get married. For many people, it is an essential part of the healing to work through the suppressed emotions. And at other times, just seeing other lives without any emotional input or involvement helps people to make decisions which can change their current lives. Paulette had long curly hair and enormous brown eyes. She was very angry with her husband and felt quite justified in having a lover. It was quite an unexpected and intriguing experience for her to find herself in a past life where her husband kept her under constant guard. She spent the whole of that life feeling angry with this possessive husband and kept trying to escape. She took one of the guards as her lover just to spite her husband. She lived that life with her heart closed towards him. So I asked her to imagine herself back in that life with her heart open. She saw at once that her husband had only imprisoned her because she didn't love him and he was frightened of losing her. As soon as she opened her heart to him, she saw that he trusted her and was confident to let her be free. She was very shocked by what she had experienced. When she went home, she was much warmer and more open with her husband. Her husband became so much nicer that she started to feel guilty about having a lover. When she came back for another session, she wanted to have a clearer picture of her past life links with her husband and lover. She flipped from lifetime to lifetime. She observed that in each one she had protected herself by having a lover. This divided her energy and meant she never committed properly to her husband of that life. Within a few days, she ended her relationship with her lover. After seeing it all so clearly, she wasn't going to repeat the pattern yet again. She committed herself to her husband and phoned me frequently to tell me how wonderful and kind and thoughtful her husband was. She couldn't believe she had ever hated him. One of the positive benefits of working with past lives is that it disengages the ego. Because it feels less personal when the story happens once removed, we can see our shadow aspect at work without having to defend ourselves. I think it would have taken Paulette a lot of work in this life to achieve a similar result with her husband, because she was very attached to her belief that all the problems was caused by him and that she was powerless in the situation. Peter felt similarly powerless. However, his feelings were much more deeply entrenched. He had felt totally powerless all this life. He had been long-term depressed. He couldn't visualize or picture anything or anyone. He couldn't even remember feelings. Before his second visit, I sat thinking, I'm sure I can't help him. What on earth can I do? Almost immediately, my guidance said, you can't do anything. Step aside. You're a channel. Let us take over. When he arrived, I asked him to relax and focus on the feeling of breathlessness he had been describing. At once he found himself, in another life, inside a pyramid. He had been an important priest with many powers. He described vividly what was happening as he betrayed the people he was supposed to be serving. He died alone in shame and poverty. In front of him, he saw all the people he had betrayed. Many of them he recognized from this life as people who were causing him problems. In this life, he felt totally powerless against them. He recognized that his healing lay in obtaining forgiveness from the souls he had betrayed, and even more importantly, in forgiving himself. It was relatively easy for him to feel them forgiving him. He told me that he could forgive himself, but I had no sense of forgiveness taking place in his heart. It is often so difficult to forgive ourselves. Perhaps at some level he wanted to go through with karma. When we talked about the session afterwards, he said he felt the awarenesses he had had were tremendously important and helped him to understand certain people and situations in his current life. I always felt he came to give me an important lesson in letting go of ego and trusting the higher power to do the necessary work. When we raise our vibration, then let go and trust, the higher powers can work miracles through us. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Astral Bee, and to click on the notification bell so you don't miss out on new chapters arriving in the Transformation series. May love, light, and inspiration always find you.